In this ever-changing world, each of us seeks lasting peace and happiness. To achieve this, compassion and wisdom play vital roles as the two core elements that not only help us overcome suffering, but also pave the way toward liberation. Compassion is the wellspring of unconditional love, enabling us to ease our own pain while fostering meaningful connections with those around us. Meanwhile, wisdom serves as the guiding light, allowing us to see the true nature of life, transcending misunderstandings and illusions. Compassion and wisdom are not separate virtues, but two interconnected aspects that complement each other on the path to self-perfection. By cultivating compassion, we not only open our hearts, but also expand our perspective, gaining clarity about the true essence of life. Genuine compassion is not merely an expression of love, it embodies wisdom. When we truly understand the suffering of ourselves and others, we act wisely to alleviate it. On the other hand, wisdom cannot exist in isolation from compassion. Wisdom without compassion becomes cold and disconnected from humanity. Thus, compassion and wisdom are mutually reinforcing, creating a balance that guides us through ignorance and toward peace and liberation. This video will help you delve deeper into how compassion nurtures wisdom and highlight the importance of harmonizing these two elements to lead a life of meaning and serenity. Compassion and wisdom, the life and journey of the 14th Dalai Lama. Compassion and wisdom are not merely idealistic values but tangible forces manifest in the real-life actions of extraordinary individuals. Throughout history, shining examples of compassion often go hand in hand with profound wisdom, as compassion cannot fully flourish without the guidance of wisdom. One of the most vivid examples of this harmony is the life and journey of the 14th Dalai Lama, a spiritual leader who has spread love and wisdom to millions across the globe. The journey of the 14th Dalai Lama. In 1959, at just 24 years old, the Dalai Lama faced the most significant decision of his life, as the Chinese military intensified its control and suppression of Tibetan culture. The Tibetan people hoped he would lead an armed uprising to defend their nation. Yet, under immense pressure from all sides, the Dalai Lama chose a path few would dare: nonviolence and forgiveness. The escape. Under the cover of the freezing night, the Dalai Lama and his closest advisors secretly traversed the Himalayas to evade capture. Along the treacherous route, the group encountered countless dangers: snowstorms, hunger, and relentless military searches. Despite these life-threatening challenges, the Dalai Lama maintained his unwavering compassion, encouraging his companions by saying, "We are not merely escaping to survive, but to preserve the spirit of peace and kindness for all beings." Upon reaching India, rather than succumbing to resentment, he undertook the monumental task of rebuilding the Tibetan exile community. Compassion in action. The Dalai Lama did not call for revenge or violence. Instead, he dedicated his life to promoting peace, dialogue, and compassion, even toward those who had inflicted suffering upon his people. He once stated, "The Chinese are human beings too. They have their own suffering. They are not our enemies, but people who need to awaken." What did he do? He established schools and cultural institutions in India to preserve Tibetan heritage. He traveled the world to spread messages of peace and compassion. Despite knowing the risks to his personal safety, he proposed the middle way approach, advocating for Tibetan autonomy within the framework of China, rather than seeking full independence. Wisdom revealed through compassion. The Dalai Lama's choices were not solely acts of compassion, but also of profound wisdom. He understood that violence would only exacerbate suffering and fail to address the root causes of the conflict. Instead, he placed his faith in the power of dialogue and patience. His perseverance inspired millions worldwide, earning him the Nobel Peace Prize in 1989 as recognition for the boundless compassion and wisdom he embodied. From the story of the 14th Dalai Lama, we learn that compassion is not merely an emotion. It must be expressed through concrete actions to alleviate the suffering of others. Wisdom is the compass that ensures compassion is enacted effectively, addressing not only immediate issues, but also fostering long-term peace. This story serves as a powerful testament that compassion and wisdom are not just ideals but transformative forces capable of changing lives and the world. What is compassion and what defines wisdom? Compassion. Compassion is the state of unconditional love, born from understanding and empathy for the suffering of ourselves and all living beings. It is not merely a noble ethical quality, but also a powerful energy that helps reduce suffering, foster harmonious relationships, and bring inner peace. Practicing compassion not only aids others in overcoming difficulties, but also liberates ourselves from stress, resentment, and selfishness. Furthermore, compassion expands human connection, helping us transcend the boundaries of ego and move toward a world of peace and love. In Buddhist philosophy, compassion is not just about empathy, but also involves concrete actions to alleviate pain and bring happiness to others. The compassion of the Dalai Lama is exemplified through personal sacrifice. He chose to leave his homeland in safety behind to protect the Tibetan people. Absence of hatred, despite facing oppression and injustice. He chose the path of peace and forgiveness rather than revenge. Spreading love, beyond aiding the Tibetan exile community. He advocated for global peace and mutual understanding. Compassion is not merely an emotion, but must manifest as tangible actions that provide lasting benefits to others, even if it requires personal sacrifice. Wisdom. Wisdom in Buddhism transcends basic knowledge or worldly understanding. It is the ability to perceive reality accurately and profoundly, encompassing the recognition of the three fundamental truths: impermanence, anicca, suffering, dukkha, and non-self, anatta. A wise person views life objectively, unswayed by superficial appearances or fleeting desires. Wisdom reveals hidden truths, uncovers illusions, and guides individuals back to their true selves. It serves as the moral compass to distinguish right from wrong and choose actions aligned with the Noble Eightfold Path, avoiding harm to oneself and others. Wisdom is not just about understanding, but also about applying knowledge to resolve problems with clarity and humanity. The Dalai Lama's wisdom is evident in understanding cause and effect. He recognized that violence is not a sustainable solution, but would only bring more suffering. Making the right choices, instead of confrontation, he embraced dialogue and peace, reducing immediate suffering while preserving hope for the future. Strategic vision. He proposed the middle way approach, balancing the preservation of Tibetan culture with the avoidance of escalating conflict. The relationship between compassion and wisdom through the Dalai Lama's story. Compassion and wisdom are not isolated values but deeply interconnected and mutually reinforcing. Profound compassion nurtures and gives rise to wisdom, while wisdom guides compassion to be practiced effectively. Compassion needs wisdom as a guide. If the Dalai Lama had acted solely out of sympathy without wisdom, he might have chosen confrontation, leading to devastating consequences for his people. Wisdom needs compassion to inspire connection. Wisdom devoid of compassion can become cold and alienating. The Dalai Lama's compassion humanized his wisdom, touching millions of hearts worldwide. This harmony between compassion and wisdom demonstrates how they work together to address suffering, promote peace, and inspire humanity. Their synergy not only defines the essence of the Dalai Lama's actions, but also serves as a guiding principle for anyone seeking a life of meaning and purpose. The relationship between compassion and wisdom. Let us join the expedition to explore the journey of self-discovery. On this journey, you may find yourself as the guide or a member of the group. In each role, we can glimpse reflections of ourselves. Let us continue the exploration. Compassion and wisdom. When good intentions go astray. Imagine an enthusiastic traveler leading an expedition to an uncharted land. He is filled with passion for discovery, excitement, and a genuine desire to provide the group with extraordinary experiences. Yet, he lacks one critical element: wisdom. He has no experience in navigation, lacks observational skills, and is unaware of potential dangers. At first, the group admires the leader's enthusiasm and begins the journey full of hope. However, as they venture deeper into the unknown, signs of trouble emerge, trails disappear, supplies begin to dwindle, and they find themselves trapped in a dark forest with no way out. When compassion lacks wisdom, goodness exhausted and exploited, the leader's goodwill becomes a double-edged sword. He shares his meager food rations, comforts those in distress, and reassures the group with vague promises. But when the supplies run out and he can no longer stand, the group looks to him with despair. Goodness exploited by circumstances. Not everyone in the group understands the gravity of their situation. They continue to demand from the leader, unaware that he too is running on empty. Harm to oneself and others. The leader not only fails to help the group, but also leads them into greater danger due to his lack of wisdom. Lesson: compassion without wisdom is like a burning torch that doesn't provide enough light to guide the way. Eventually, the flame will fade, leaving behind darkness and despair. When wisdom lacks compassion, a cold and lonely journey. Now imagine another person in the group, possessing sharp wisdom but devoid of compassion. Recognizing the danger, he decides to leave the group and find his own way to safety, abandoning them behind. Cold and isolated, this person may find a way out, but without anyone to share the joy or lessons of the journey. He becomes a solitary figure, disconnected from humanity. Invisible consequences. Those left behind never forget the feeling of being abandoned. They may survive, but their trust in kindness and humanity is forever scarred. Lesson: wisdom without compassion is self-serving and cold. It may achieve results, but at the cost of losing the most beautiful aspects of human connection. Balancing compassion and wisdom, a guiding light. The ideal traveler is one who knows how to combine both compassion and wisdom. Such a person possesses a genuine love for their expedition team and, at the same time, has the ability to observe environmental signs, prepare contingency plans, and make sound decisions when faced with danger. Compassion provides motivation. It is the love and desire to protect the team, driving the traveler to overcome challenges. Wisdom guides action. It is the ability to analyze situations, anticipate risks, and find the safest path for the entire group. With this balance, the journey becomes not only an extraordinary adventure, but also a valuable lesson in the harmony between emotion and reason. Lessons from the traveler. The image of the traveler leading the expedition serves as a metaphor for our own lives. Compassion is the force that connects us to others and inspires us to help them. But without wisdom, it can lead us astray, causing harm to ourselves and those around us. Conversely, wisdom without compassion turns us into cold and isolated beings, detached from the warmth of human connection. Only when compassion and wisdom walk hand in hand can we become true guides, transforming life into a meaningful journey filled with light and love. And you, have you found yourself? Where do you stand on this journey? Join us as we continue our exploration through the concept of the Four Immeasurables to rediscover yourself. When compassion and wisdom within you are in harmony, they create an enduring spiritual strength that guides you through suffering and leads to profound peace. However, for compassion to be nurtured and wisdom to shine brightly, there must be a concrete practice that fosters balance and serenity of the soul. This practice is none other than the cultivation of the Four Immeasurables. For noble qualities, loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity, these are not merely moral principles but pathways that elevate compassion and wisdom to their fullest potential. What are the Four Immeasurables? And how do they contribute to the development of wisdom? Let us delve into the profound connection between compassion, wisdom, and the Four Immeasurables, as this practice forms the foundation for their harmonious growth. The Four Immeasurables, the elevation of compassion. The Four Immeasurables, loving kindness, metta, compassion, karuna, sympathetic joy, mudita, and equanimity, upekkha, represent the expansion and refinement of compassion within the human heart. Loving kindness, metta. Loving kindness is the foundation of compassion, encompassing universal love for all beings without discrimination. Without loving kindness, compassion may be limited to those we care about or confined to familial ties. Compassion, karuna. Compassion is the active manifestation of loving kindness, the desire and action to alleviate the suffering of others. It transforms love into tangible efforts to bring relief. Sympathetic joy, mudita. Sympathetic joy is the delight in the happiness and success of others. It extends compassion by fostering an unconditional and boundless sense of joy for others' well-being. Equanimity, upekkha. Equanimity is the ability to let go of attachments in acts of compassion, allowing us to remain balanced and free from disappointment if our efforts do not yield the desired outcomes. The Four Immeasurables ensure that compassion transcends mere emotion and becomes a deeply rooted practice, cultivated with intentionality and resilience. Wisdom, the guiding light of the Four Immeasurables. Wisdom serves as the illuminating force and compass for the Four Immeasurables, ensuring these qualities are practiced correctly and without distortion. Loving kindness without wisdom. Kindness without wisdom can unintentionally cause harm. For instance, helping someone without understanding their true needs may foster dependency rather than reduce suffering. Compassion without wisdom. Compassion without wisdom can lead to blind actions, exhaustion, or even exploitation. Wisdom enables us to discern when and how to offer help to create genuine and lasting benefits. Sympathetic joy without wisdom. Joy without wisdom can become shallow or insincere. Wisdom ensures that our joy stems from understanding and not from superficial or fleeting emotions. Equanimity without wisdom. Equanimity without wisdom may turn into indifference or irresponsibility. Wisdom clarifies that letting go does not mean neglect, but rather releasing attachment to act more thoughtfully and effectively. Wisdom transforms the Four Immeasurables into a foundation not only for compassionate action, but also for wise decision-making, bringing enduring benefits to ourselves and others. This harmony between compassion, wisdom, and the Four Immeasurables is a timeless guide to cultivating inner peace, overcoming suffering, and living a life of profound meaning. The Four Immeasurables, the foundation of compassion and the fertile ground for wisdom. Why does compassion nurture wisdom? Here are the reasons. Compassion calms the mind. When the heart is filled with compassion, negative emotions like anger, jealousy, and resentment gradually fade away. This brings about a tranquil and clear state of mind, ready to embrace the truth. A calm mind is a wise mind. A mind troubled by greed, anger, and ignorance cannot perceive reality clearly. Compassion removes these emotional barriers, allowing wisdom to illuminate and grow. Compassion broadens perspective. Compassion not only helps us connect with others, but also encourages empathy and deeper understanding of the world around us. Compassion transcends the ego. When we love unconditionally, the mind is no longer confined by the small self. This expansion allows wisdom to flourish, revealing the interconnectedness of all phenomena. Compassion fosters patience and mindfulness. Compassion encourages us to remain patient in the face of difficulties, avoiding impulsive or reckless reactions. This creates the ideal conditions for wisdom to develop. Patience as the foundation of wisdom. In challenging circumstances, compassion prevents rash decisions, allowing time for observation, reflection, and learning. Compassion inspires wise action. Compassion is not merely a feeling, but also a driving force for actions that benefit others. When compassionate actions are guided by deep understanding, wisdom is cultivated and enriched through real-life experiences. Compassionate actions teach wisdom. Every act of compassion helps us understand others better, recognize our limitations, and improve ourselves. Compassion as the core of the Four Immeasurables. Compassion serves as the primary motivation for practicing the Four Immeasurables. Loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. Without compassion, it is impossible to fully embody these qualities. Compassion and loving kindness directly nurture sympathetic joy and equanimity. Wisdom as the guiding light of the Four Immeasurables. Wisdom plays a crucial role in illuminating and directing the Four Immeasurables, ensuring that these qualities are practiced correctly and effectively. Loving kindness without wisdom. Love without wisdom can unintentionally cause harm. For example, helping someone without understanding their actual needs may foster dependency rather than reduce suffering. Compassion without wisdom. Compassion without wisdom can lead to blind actions, exhaustion, or even exploitation. Wisdom helps us discern when and how to offer help for meaningful benefits. Sympathetic joy without wisdom. Joy without wisdom may become shallow or insincere. Wisdom ensures that our joy stems from genuine understanding rather than superficial feelings. Equanimity without wisdom. Letting go without wisdom may lead to indifference or irresponsibility. Wisdom clarifies that equanimity means releasing attachment, enabling thoughtful and effective actions. Wisdom ensures that the Four Immeasurables not only guide compassionate actions but also inform wise decision-making, bringing lasting benefits to ourselves and others. Compassion, the fertile ground for wisdom to take root. Wisdom does not arise spontaneously. It is cultivated from compassion, a genuine love and desire to alleviate the suffering of all beings. Compassion motivates action, and through these actions, the fertile ground is created for wisdom to sprout and grow. Compassion drives benevolent actions. A compassionate heart cannot remain idle in the face of others' suffering. This impulse leads us to engage in acts of kindness, sharing, and helping those in need. Such actions not only alleviate the suffering of others, but also provide opportunities for learning and personal growth. Real-life experiences enrich wisdom. Each act of compassion exposes us to new challenges, lessons, and reflections on the outcomes of our efforts. From these experiences, we gain deeper insights into life, ourselves, and how to solve problems effectively. Wisdom flourishes through compassion. Compassionate actions illuminate the right path and cultivate wisdom through the ability to discern right from wrong, make appropriate choices, and understand the nature of reality. The interdependence of compassion and wisdom. In Buddhist philosophy, compassion and wisdom are mutually reinforcing qualities. Compassion is the foundation from which wisdom arises, driven by the love that inspires action and learning through experience. In turn, wisdom serves as the guiding light for compassionate actions, ensuring they are not misguided, broadening perspectives, and spreading benefits to all of humanity. This synergy brings profound value to all beings and reveals the ultimate purpose of our existence: to live meaningfully, harmoniously, and in alignment with the deeper truths of life. Compassion as an innate quality in every human being. Compassion is a seed inherently present in each of us. Let us reflect on the two figures we've explored, the 14th Dalai Lama and the Traveler. Both demonstrate that compassion is a natural foundation within everyone, ready to be nurtured and developed to its fullest potential. The 14th Dalai Lama, a great spiritual leader, embraced compassion as the root of his practice from the very beginning. Through persistent cultivation and years of devoted practice, his wisdom blossomed, enabling him to bring not only peace to himself, but also love and harmony to the world. His achievements stand as proof that when compassion is combined with wisdom, it can generate tremendous value, not only for oneself, but for humanity at large. The Traveler, though not a spiritual leader, also displayed compassion. His love for his team and his desire to provide them with a meaningful experience inspired him to volunteer as their guide. Although he was an ordinary individual, his actions reveal that compassion is a natural instinct, an inherent quality within every person. These two figures remind us that compassion is not something lofty or unattainable, but a flame that quietly burns within each of us. When ignited and nurtured, compassion not only brings happiness and connection, but also lays the foundation for wisdom to grow, allowing each of us to lead a meaningful life and spread goodness to others. Practicing balance between compassion and wisdom. To balance and develop both compassion and wisdom, we must engage in effective practices. These methods not only help create a serene mind, but also provide the foundation for compassionate actions to be illuminated by wisdom. Meditation, the core practice. Meditation is the most essential method for simultaneously cultivating compassion and developing wisdom. Loving kindness meditation, metta bhavana. This practice focuses on fostering unconditional love toward all living beings. Loving kindness meditation reduces anger, jealousy, and hatred while strengthening human connection. As compassion expands, wisdom naturally arises through deeper understanding and empathy. Insight meditation, Vipassana. Insight meditation involves deeply observing reality to recognize the impermanence, suffering, and selflessness of all things. When wisdom illuminates the true nature of phenomena, compassionate actions become more thoughtful and precise, avoiding impulsive or misguided behaviors. Studying and practicing the Noble Eightfold Path. The Noble Eightfold Path is a comprehensive guide for integrating compassion and wisdom into daily life. Right view and right thought. These reinforce accurate understanding of reality, fostering wisdom while dispelling misconceptions. Right speech, right action, and right livelihood. These direct our words, deeds, and way of life to avoid harm and instead bring benefits to ourselves and others. This is how compassion is practiced meaningfully. Right mindfulness and right concentration. Through meditation and mindfulness, the mind becomes calm and clear, enabling compassion to be practiced deeply and sustainably. Combining practices to achieve balance. By incorporating meditation and the Noble Eightfold Path, compassion and wisdom cease to be separate qualities. Instead, they merge into a powerful internal strength. Compassion provides the motivation to act for the benefit of others, while wisdom ensures these actions are effective and impactful. Meditation and the Noble Eightfold Path are essential for cultivating compassion and wisdom. Through consistent practice, we can balance these qualities, discovering peace and purpose in life, reducing suffering, and bringing happiness to ourselves and others. Compassion, wisdom, and the Four Immeasurables, a path to liberation. Compassion, wisdom, and the Four Immeasurables are noble qualities inherently present in every human being. However, the choice of how to live is ours alone. The Buddha has shown the path to peace and liberation, but only by returning to the Buddha's teachings can we rediscover ourselves, unveiling the boundless compassion and wisdom already residing within our hearts. Living with your true self, in purity and love, is the path the Buddha taught. Do not let fleeting desires or the illusions of life lead you astray. Compassion is not only the key to unlocking profound wisdom, but also a shield that blocks the seeds of karma, guiding us to eternal liberation. Let compassion and wisdom merge, becoming a torch that lights the way through life, enabling us to live fully, meaningfully, and free from suffering, and leading us to the horizon of everlasting peace. We sincerely thank you for taking the time to journey with us through these noble values. Act today, live with compassion, nurture your wisdom, and practice the Four Immeasurables. Change begins with you. Start your journey now. Thank you for accompanying us on this journey. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like, share, and click the notification bell so you won't miss more meaningful content. Every small action from you is a great source of motivation for us to continue spreading positive values to the community. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.